Hi everyone. As we have promised you to bring a lot of industry experts and podcast and discussions with them so that you can learn from their journey as well, get insights about how they tackled when they had problems. And today we have Omkar Kadam, who is a very experienced DevOps and cloud expert. So we will try to discuss with him some of these situations, how he managed through, and some of the successes that he had. We hope that it will be beneficial for you. So do try to see it until the end of the video. Welcome, Omkar, for in today's podcast.
Thanks, Sanjeev. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Omkar, we would want to understand a little bit about yourself, what sort of experience and where you are right now in your career, so that people can relate to it.
Sure. Okay, so to give a brief about myself, a brief introduction about myself, I graduated in the year 2018. I did my bachelor in information technology. So I'm a engineer, and to everyone, I say that I'm a professional problem solver. Anything that you have into cloud, or if you have to get onto cloud, I can help you with your cloud journey. And from that, uh, I got my first job right from the campus placement. I got into DirectI. I was a system administrator at the age of 20, and I had access to like around 70% of all the Linux WordPress hosting servers. So that was a very foundational experience, which led me into like system administration and like Linux fundamentals, and that made my journey to DevOps very easy. So that was the starting point of my career, and then I got into Cactus Communications, which is a scientific and uh, editing research based company. We help researchers get published. So I head the day-to-day DevOps operations at Editage in Cactus, and it has been over 5 years that I am working as DevOps. I am now a lead DevOps engineer, and yes, I work mainly into the AWS stack. We also have multi cloud deployments. We have Azure and GCP as well. But my main expertise lies into AWS and managing all the operations and managing new provisioning in new infrastructure and making sure that infrastructure is well in place and adhering to the latest security standards. So yeah, every day is very exciting.
Awesome. So we both of us are part of the community builder program from AWS. That's how
Yes,
we met initially, and then I started following some of your content on LinkedIn. I'll try to put all the links about your whatever we discussed today in the description, so people can reach out to you.
sure.
Just for our like you overall bring around 6 to 7 years of total DevOps and cloud experience.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So system admin to AWS and system admin to DevOps and cloud is what I would say. It probably classify as your profile.
Yes.
Yeah. So, can you help viewers understand some of the challenges and issues you faced in this entire process of navigating from one type of career initially and then into modern AWS and DevOps area?
Sure. So initially, the system administration, the abstractions was on cloud as well, but like we had limited access or jail shell kind of access. And when I got into DevOps, I had like super admin access to all cloud resources. So the responsibility wise, that was a steep learning curve, and DevOps can get very information heavy, and you can get a lot overwhelmed if you are not new to the pace. So you have to constantly be on track and also get yourself up to speed every day, because every day something new is happening, and there are a lot of different aspects like security vulnerabilities. You have to basically take on multiple responsibilities, multiple put on multiple hats, and act as a different skill set based on what is the requirement or what is the problem at hand. So you need to get very specialized into multiple different job profiles as well, which might not directly relate to the initial job description that you have in your mind. So you need to run automation test cases or help build infrastructure which can deploy test suits and make sure that every all your infrastructure is always adhering to the best practices of cloud providers. And if there are any downtimes, you get to roll back and revert applications to very to normalcy at a faster rate. So it is very kind of intensive and hectic at times, but once you get the drift and once you get the ropes of DevOps and you get into the growth mindset, try to learn new trends daily, then you get attuned to it, and then you can really excel into it. So there is no stopping, and growth is always is welcome, and learning and constantly learning and making sure that whatever you learn, you spread it across. Knowledge sharing and mentoring, it is also very encouraged, and documenting all your learnings is what I have been doing or started to do, which has differentiated me from my earlier days.
Awesome. You touched upon something that it can be very overwhelming learning in DevOps and cloud space, especially when
Mhm.
somebody is very early and maybe he's at entry level or sometimes even an experienced professional coming into DevOps and cloud. What do you suggest, Omkar? What are the few things that they can focus on? Probably a good roadmap that they can create for themselves, because otherwise they get so much overwhelmed by these number of tools, technologies, process. Everybody says you need to be expert at Python or you need to be learning too much of shell scripting. That's what companies are using. So I have seen people getting confused by YouTube and all other things. What, as per you, is a good roadmap for somebody who is starting their journey?
Yes, absolutely. So information overload is real, and everyone has like finite amount of time that they can invest and they can get ahead of where they are. So having or investing into a roadmap, investing our resources and time efficiently in a roadmap is very essential. And for that, I think like we can focus on like top 5 to 7 trends, which are like soft skills. First, how you communicate and what you communicate. Like uh, everyone can do the tech part, but behavioral analysis and like managing stakeholders, how change is communicated so that there is no pushback, that is a very important aspect according to me.
Right.
And like tech part can be learned easily, but soft skills and how we do communicate with each others, how we broadcast bad news, or if there is some downtime, how do we get across it, and how do we present the findings, how do we present our weaknesses, vulnerabilities, that is a crucial skill. And so that is something that you should start from the beginning. Then you should be very good with version control, like you should know in and out of github and various version control tools that you use, so that you have exposure with github, and you know how to do reverts, rollbacks, and anything on github or any version control tool that you use. So that should be much high focus. Then you should have fundamental understanding of containerization, Docker, Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is not required for a lot of use cases, but if the use case is necessary, and if all the choices point to the Kubernetes angle, then you should really explore to Kubernetes. But till that, you should first analyze where is this really required. And the other part is infrastructure as code. So pick languages like Terraform is HCL compliant language, which it shows how you can provision, how you can deploy infrastructure in a repeatable manner. So infrastructure as code is an important tool. And CI/CD. So CI/CD is just a technology. It can be implemented in various tools. So as per the organizations and organization design choices, the CI/CD tools can be different. So pick any tool that you want to focus on, and then get deep into that. So like also security is very important. So keep yourself updated with the latest trends and security compliance like GDPR and several standards, and whichever standard is essential for your industry, for your organization, for focus more on that. So like focusing on like cloud platforms, monitoring, logging, and why are these concepts really required, and then doing purpose driven learning based on these concepts, understanding where you stand, how are you, what are your strengths and weaknesses in each of these areas, should help you create a good starting point, a good learning resource, and then you can execute it accordingly.
Awesome. So you talked about initially about the soft skills. Even I suggest to a lot of learners that DevOps engineer and cloud engineer roles are not just closing some tickets or getting some work assigned to you and you're just closing it. You have to communicate with multiple stakeholders. You rightly pointed out the kind of language, the kind of words that you are talking to a security architect or an enterprise architect may be slightly different. So how do you
Mhm.
articulate those things is also a very crucial aspect to the role, and you should embed that into your learning as well.
Yes.
So now, assuming that somebody has these like a roadmap created for themselves, any good resources you can refer them to, which uh, they can utilize anything uh, on a book maybe or any YouTube channel or something that people can refer to.
Yes, sure. So when I started into DevOps, I used Udemy's Stephen Marek's courses
Mhm.
for AWS certifications, and that is like really good. A lot of people are learning Stephen Marek's AWS certified solution certificate course on. So that is one.
Mhm.
Then regarding system design, Arpit Bhayani is a excellent resource, and he has a newsletter. You can follow that. Nana Janashia, Tech World with Nana Janashia is another which I always subscribe to.
Yeah.
Lucy Wang is another. She is also a community builder. And Sandeep Das. So everyone knows Sandeep Das. So these are some guys into cloud and DevOps. They are into forefront, and also another one is uh, Abhishek Virmala.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are some guys which I follow, and I like their content. I engage with their content, and I try to like emulate whatever they are working on and how they are solving the problem. So
Yeah.
yeah, these are some excellent resources. And apart from that, I have also wrote a book on DevOps. So the DevOps story. This is a book which I envisioned someone like me who started at DevOps. If he had access to this book, then a lot of things would be clear, and a lot of mental models would be clear, and the expectation from DevOps, from a role like DevOps, that will be very clear. So I would suggest all our viewers to go through it, and we'll share the link. I think you will
Sure.
share the link as well.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely. I'll share the
Thank you.
link with the audience. They can purchase the book. It's available on platforms. Um,
Yes,
so
on Amazon Kindle everywhere. Yeah.
all right. Thanks, Omkar. How was that experience writing a book? What motivated to do that?
Yeah, so initially I started this knowledge sharing into our company, and then I saw the real gap and how it can help wider audience as well. So I basically, the books into DevOps, they are very lengthy, around 200 500 pages. But my requirement is I want to scan things, I want to go deep and go get to the crux faster. So that was my main intention. Like, how can I trim down all the major context and give it into like a 100 pager book. So that was my main intention, and that was my motivation behind writing this book. So the entire structure or the chapters, they were clear in my mind in the last year, and then I started working on it. and in a month I finished the entire book and published it on Amazon Kindle. So that was really
Amazing.
nice.
Congratulations. We wanted to
Thank
have
you.
this podcast at that time and then got delayed because of various things.
Yes,
Apologies for
yes.
that. So, Omkar, moving on to some more questions, especially around the programming side of things. People have a lot of questions like, do I need to be an expert in Java or Python? Or what's your experience? You, especially you coming from system admin background, what level of programming is sufficient? Like, obviously, this question is coming from people who don't probably like that much of development effort. They don't like coding that much. So should they look at this as a career opportunity for themselves?
So regarding me, I am like very proficient in Python, and that was due to partly due to my liking of hackathons, and I participated in a lot of hackathons during my engineering days. So Smart India Hackathon 2017, 2018. So these platforms exposed me to programming, building web applications, being a full stack kind of engineer, and applying all the skill sets to DevOps and system administration. So, but I feel that a beginner level of any programming language is efficient, is enough. So if you are good with shell scripting, if you are good with Python, if you can do basic loops and like conditional statements, then basically that is enough. You don't need like lot of DSA requirements for DevOps. But if you're good with competitive programming as well, then that will also give you an edge, because you can design more better systems and more reliable and scalable systems, if your basics in programming is clear. So I would suggest that pick one or two languages and get deep into it. For Java, if you can and go deep into like how is the memory management, like if you can make it tuned to what part of the puzzle that you are working on. Basically, you will work on memory management or server and infrastructure management, or making sure that infrastructure is capable or scalable to host all your applications. So you need to make sure that whatever application is being scaled, it has enough resources, and it will you need to make sure that it is automatically scaling, and everything, if there is a disaster, you have disaster recovery playbooks in place, and if something goes down, you recover gracefully. And a lot of users do not have access or do not understand that something is down. So fail fast, learn fast.
Hmm.
But yes, so a bit of exposure to programming is always nice, but it is not required. And if you are into software development, I think you can and really transition well into roles like DevOps, because you have the understanding of coding and how the platforms work, and then it is just a matter of scaling it onto infrastructure. So that is the easy part.
So at very high level, you are saying that even if you don't know a lot of Python or Java, you should bridge the gap between an application development and how it will be hosted in cloud or any platform.
Correct.
You should understand the Java application is doing certain things, but how much memory it's consuming, how much CPU it's consuming. Though that
Mhm.
awareness about that application should be there. Then
Yes.
probably you can look at other aspects of logging, monitoring, and
Yes.
maintaining
Also,
that.
like for database or Redis, you need to know caching strategies, and all these caching strategies, they are taught into colleges. They are taught into who are lectures, engineering lectures as well, engineering curriculum. So if we focus more onto that, and how caching, paging, how all the OS network fundamental work, then that would be a really good fundamental, and that would be a good opening point, starting point for anyone to pick on the higher advanced concepts.
Awesome. Uh, sure, that helps, Omkar. Few more questions around. I'm bringing questions from my viewers that I have seen. I respond to them, and I just
Mhm.
want to bring another perspective. So another problem most of these DevOps and cloud engineering folks are facing is that they do some courses from some of the resources you also mentioned. They do these courses, do these basic learning, but when they go for an interview, they don't do that well. Sometimes they're not able to understand the questions itself and forget about the answer. So, and then they get confused also. They have done their homework properly, but they are not able to perform that well in the interviews. Any sort of feedback, especially when somebody's switching a job or applying their first DevOps and cloud engineer jobs?
Uh, so the first thing that I can think of is like just read about the company that you are applying to and what is the problems, what are the general areas that they can utilize cloud into, like what are their challenges, and then try to showcase your projects or similar projects that you have done and how you have solved the problems. So a lot of people get focused onto their weaknesses, or how would an interviewer perceive them if they are short of something, if they can't do something. But a interview is a two-way discussion according to me, and you should focus on your strengths and what you bring to the table, not not onto your weaknesses and how you are different or how you lack some skills. Talk about what things you have done differently, what are some challenges that you have solved, and show your problem solving process into the whole interview, so that can actually. And if you are like, if you have some doubts, ask clarifying questions. People do not get offended. They are there to help you, and they are there to like see how you think. If you get into challenging situations, if you get into ambiguous problems, how do you go, how do you tackle problems? That is the skill that they are gauging you in. So if you can show that you are well with, you can take decisions based on like low data points, and you can thrive well into ambiguity, then I think DevOps engineers or people who are hiring for them, they will definitely like be more approachable to you, and the interaction will be more seamless. And yeah,
Hmm.
it will result to a positive outcome. So one thing is, you shouldn't aim for a outcome in mind, you should aim for a good interaction. Like how can you actually help, and how can you be of value to it. So a lot of people, they think that if they onboard a fresher, they would need to spend a lot of time into their onboarding and making them understand the tool stack, or how the processes are into the organization. So if you can show that kind of self learning attitude, and if learning is something that you can show, that you like to learn and you like to experiment, then I think everyone will be more brave to take a bet on you.
Awesome. So, key takeaway, I think few words that I noticed in the discussion was around making it an interaction rather than an interview. If you
Correct.
can take it to that level, that you are not going for an interview, you are going for an interaction with someone where they want to assess whether you are fit for the role or not. And if you can bring your strong points, uh, your projects that you have worked on, mapping them into their problem statements, then that could be a good match.
Yes.
Cool. So some of the projects is something they should focus on, how they can relate those projects with the new employer.
Yes.
Cool. So, Omkar, on the next question, like how do you stay up to date in DevOps and cloud? What sort of resources audience can use, or what sort of events and hackathons you talked about? How do you stay up to date with technologies nowadays?
So, regarding like lot of projects, like the technical decisions and how I made those decisions, we do documentation a lot, and all the decisions are driven through data points. So that is one thing. Like, how did you make this choice? How did you choose Redis over other caching? And like what it is, what was the reason? What are the pros and cons? Making sure that we document everything, and we discuss with a lot of other engineers as well, and then we get to know about the drawbacks, or the how is this technology more suitable for our use case. as compared to other. The initial thing is about gathering all the data points is using using tools like generative AI to get more data faster. I use Perplexity and a lot of generative AIs like Claude and others. So a lot of automations are now possible. I read the AWS documentation a lot because a lot of new services and AWS News has also a nice section where they announce all their latest trends or latest announcements. And I basically make sure that I connect on LinkedIn and see people or groups which are talking about cloud. So there are a lot of user groups. User group Mumbai has monthly sessions onto various cloud related things. And there are a lot of community events into tech wherein you can go and like network with people and see what are the problems they are facing, what are the problems industries are facing, and then based on those problems you can try to like see what is currently the main focus, and then you can learn more about those concepts. So like a lot of things were into containerization and platform engineering, building self-service tools, so internal developer platforms, developer experience, all these trends you get to know when you interact with people out there into the industry. If you work into isolation, you won't be exposed to the trends that people into DevOps as a role are facing, or DevOps as an industry is facing. You will be only streamlined or only limited to what your organization is facing, and you won't get the grasp of the bigger picture. So to get the grasp of bigger picture, stay connected with communities, stay connected with tech professionals and across the industries, and see how they are scaling, how Netflix or how Amazon is scaling, how they are doing their video processing at scale. And if you have to design a scalable, if you have to design a planetary level application, that then you need to make sure that everything is at par, the latencies are low, the basically every technical detail is stressed on and it is taken care of. So there should be no such thing which has been left out or which is kept to chance. So basically it a lot of learning to me gets through what are my interests right now and
Mhm.
what I'm focused right now. So I am also focused on to, or I want to grow as a podcast or tech podcast. I want to be a thought leader into DevOps and cloud. So I try to do things which other people into the same field are doing. And this can be like taking workshops or speaking at universities, speaking at colleges, and making sure that you are in touch with cloud captains. Cloud captains are emerging peoples into into colleges
Mhm.
who are more focused to AWS kind of event, and they are also trying to get into AWS blogging and learning about AWS, and then sharing their learnings across for the wider audience. So being in touch with the industry, being in touch with educational institutes, and just being in the forefront of learning can actually help you a lot.
That's interesting. So, follow some of those people, follow some of the user groups and communities around you, and try to see what they're talking about, what are the new industry trends, and then
Correct.
maybe tailor your learning accordingly is probably a good way. So, what are some of the latest trends and technologies that you are focusing that you think will help DevOps and cloud engineers of today, will make them ready for future? Some of the things that you can highlight.
Yes. So one thing that I talked about is internal developer platforms. So these are like tools which can really change the developer experience. They
Mhm.
can make developers self-sufficient. Like a lot of friction or a lot of overhead between developer and DevOps team exist because they do not have access or they can't provision the resources that they need for their test or stage, and they are dependent onto DevOps engineers to like there is a lot of bureaucratic processes into organizations. if you can provide a API or a programmatic access, that all of your developers are empowered to make the choices and spin up their own infrastructure, like you build it, you run it kind of mindset into your engineering team, then these tools would really help a lot. And the trends that I'm looking at are like people are now very productive because they are effectively leveraging AI into their ecosystem or into their current existing setups, into their workflows. And that is the time for production is drastically reduced. Like things that used to take weeks are now done into days. So that is the kind of productivity unlock that people can or developers can achieve or aim for. And code generation with AI, and also like deploying stacks using AI, writing infrastructure as code templates using AI or chat GPT. So
Mhm.
like a lot of serverless functions or development of serverless function, if you can prompt engineer it enough, and if you can give concise detailed requirements, then a lot of boilerplate or template code for these tools, like writing a lambda function to do X, do X, like clean up all your elastic IP, like these things which were more human driven or more human dependent are now possible due to the advent of AI. And a lot of automations are now really possible, and people are really doing low code awesome stuff into low code no code. So I think like if you develop or if you work onto a DevOps tool which automates the entire CI/CD pipeline, or automates or streamlines a certain part of the process, then that tool can also have a lot of potential users that can sign up. So these are some things that AI has made possible, and DevOps and automation is now more reliant on the new cutting edge advancements into AI.
Awesome. Focus on the developer experience, how you
Mhm.
can enhance a developer's overall experience, improve their productivity, and then
Mhm.
that becomes a DevOps function. Then look at how you can leverage AI to improve the productivity. And the third point is looking at products which are low code, no code kind of products, and they fit into the entire ecosystem, help organizations. Any example that if you are aware, low code, no code, that they can look at it, especially for
Yeah, so
people who have they are not so much interested in programming. If they see a product that can enhance that, then they are usually inclined toward it.
yes. So a lot of like landing page generators are now available. So you can directly use it, and they give you a entire CI/CD application, and you can have your site ready into like 10-15 minutes. So
Hmm.
you just give your content, you just give your assets, and then you have a fully functional blog or a landing page generated. So these things which used to take like designers and lot of efforts, these are now just a click away. You need to just define your templates, you need to define your color palettes, and what is the overall theme that you're looking for, and you'll get the content ready, content generated, and your site or a newsletter, it is ready in fraction of time than as earlier.
Awesome. So Omkar, one typical question that I ask and I try to help viewers understand. Have from your experience, have you seen people focusing on something where you think is probably a hype, or they are spending a lot of time on technologies or tools or things that they can avoid, so that their time is, as you mentioned, right? People have finite time, that you don't have that liberty, so you have limited time. So anything then they can totally avoid or less spend time on something. Are you across any such thing?
Uh, so yes, I get the point that you're trying to ask. Like a lot of people are very they get more distracted due to shiny object syndrome. Like
Hmm.
whenever there is a new advancement and they want to try all the hype and whether the hype is true or not, and that basically distracts them to focus on the essential priorities that they should be doing for. Like, I think if something is a hype, then the hype cycle, if it is scalable, or if it is actually useful, then it will be picked along the line. And if you should try to stick to your priorities, and once you complete all those priorities, only then you should try to experiment and explore into newer stuff. So, like, if you are a developer, if you are into database optimization, then you should look for new advancements or new innovations in the stuff of database administrator. Like, how will this system help you into database optimization or database tuning? If it does not help you, then you should not be focusing your time or energy into that. If it is something related to like SRE or automation and monitoring, then you should just dedicate it, or make it point the other person to invest their time and energy. So basically, prioritizing your energy well, and prioritizing actual where you should be focusing on to meet your goals, and make sure all your KRAs are met, that will actually help you avoid all the distractions.
Mm.
And so if the distraction, if something is, if you think that the energy or the time that you are putting into it will get more results, but how will you understand, or how will you know that the time that you want to invest, it has a tangible ROI? So
Mm.
if the ROI is justified, then I think you should not, but it doesn't matter to spend that time. But if you are not going to get something, if you are just doing a POC, then I think your energy or your resources are well invested into your current plan or your current prioritization. So do stuff that you have, that you need to do, and then if something is, if you still have enough time, then try to innovate more.
Interesting. Stay away from distractions. And
Hmm.
Omkar, one of the very common distraction, and probably will lead us to last question of today. One very common distractor is that DevOps is going to be dead. Is it really going to be relevant in another 5 years, 10 years, or they have different kind of things that companies are moving away from cloud. They are going on to local infrastructure or going back to on-prem, so all sort of thing. What's your take on DevOps and cloud? Is it really going to be dead in few years? What's going to happen?
I think DevOps will always be relevant, because the DevOps is not about tools, processes. It is about a mindset. It is how we solve problems, how we solve problems at scale. And problem solvers are always required, because problem solving is a skill, and it can be only, it cannot be taught. It needs to be learned. So I think there is always a demand for, even with the advancement of AI, people or DevOps will evolve into a role which is effectively or efficiently using AI to do all the tasks like system administration, or infrastructure provisioning, and making sure that incidents are streamlined. If there are incidents, you get the root cause of those incidents, and kind of automatically remediation of these incidents. So we will have smarter processes and efficient ways of doing things. But DevOps as a whole idea of bridging the gap between developers and making sure that they ship faster and they ship securely, will always be relevant. And it people basically, like, ai will AI takes a lot of decisions, but ambiguous and high stakes decisions are kind of not automated, or we aren't at that kind of sophistication where then we can eliminate DevOps engineers who do complex administration tasks or complex tasks of DNS switching, or like failure disaster recovery playbooks. So all these tasks which are high stakes and high intensity, and the responsibility or the implication of failure are very high, these tasks are not yet automated. And I think for those tasks, we will always require people who are skilled into Linux, DevOps, and the fundamentals of how applications is being built, all the layers of TCP, how does networking work, how does a packet is encrypted, how if you know the basics of Linux, if you know how a request works, how request translates, what are the point of failures, what are the best practices, best architecture tools, architecture designs, what are your trade-offs, if all these kind of things, once it is once you have access to these, then you can take better decisions. And I think DevOps engineers are continuously evolving and making sure that they are trying to stay in touch with all of these concepts. And that is why I think there is nothing to fear. And yes, DevOps will always thrive.
Always thrive. AI will be there to help you, but you
Yes,
don't take it as a job or activity. It's more of a mindset thing. Then
correct.
people with DevOps mindset are still going to be relevant.
Mhm.
Thanks, Omkar, for clarifying so many doubts that my viewers might have, and finding time on a Sunday and spending with us. Do you want to say something before we close? Any last comment from your side?
Thanks, Sanjeev, for having me. And the only last statement that I would like to leave the audience with is nothing is to be feared, everything is to be understood. So just understand the basics, just go into the depth of every problem that you encounter, and then you will automatically find the solutions to it. And yeah, like is problem solving is a skill, and you can get better at it.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Omkar. Wish you good luck with everything that you are doing, and we'll probably speak again in future.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
nice
so
day.
much.
Bye.
You too. Have a good one. Bye bye.